What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. Today's video is going to be a long overdue eyeshadow palette ranking. I say long overdue because the majority of the 17 palettes sitting here in front of me released way back in October, but I'm happy to say that I have finally gotten around to playing with every single one of these. I've used every shade, created multiple different looks, and I'm ready to give you my final thoughts on these palettes. With that being said, keep in mind this video is just for fun. Just because your favorite palette is not my favorite palette, that's okay. We all have different preferences in makeup, and this ranking is based off of my preferences in makeup. I will have all these palettes linked and listed down below in the description box if they are available to do so, as well as everything that I am wearing on my face today. I did film this look and it is either already up or it will be going up very soon as a short. I filmed it with the Wicked Widow Halloween collection that they came out with. But as always, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on this channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But let's go ahead and jump into this ranking. All right, let's go ahead and kick this off with our number 17 palette, and that is going to be this little guy right here from Beauty Bay. This is the Mini Charms palette, and this is a 9-pan palette full of beautiful shifty shimmer shades. This is really good. I love the shades in here. They are smooth. They don't emphasize texture. I don't get creasing or anything like that, and I don't experience a lot of fallout either. I might get a little bit if I put it on my lower lash line or on my inner corner, but generally if I go in on my lid and I have a tacky base and I spray my brush, I don't experience any of that. But I was really impressed with the quality of these shimmer shades. This is the first year that I'm trying Beauty Bay, and at this point I think this is the third or fourth palette I've tried from the brand, and these are beautiful. But the reason that I'm putting them in last place is because this is not a all-in-one palette for me. This is a companion palette, and when I do my rankings, I like to rank the palettes based off of what I can do with them as a whole. And for me, I can't create one look with this palette, but I do really like bringing this in to use with other palettes if I need an inner corner shade or a little bit of lightness, brightness, a topper or something like that. This is excellent, and I do really enjoy this. My only nitpicky little thing about this palette is it does have this little plastic overlay with the shades on it. It's not a big deal, but for me, having a channel and trying to kind of link things down below and telling you what shades I'm using, this is a little inconvenient for me, but not a big deal. Fantastic palette, and I've really enjoyed it. Number 17 is going to the Hope and Bloom palette from Beauty Moon Cosmetics in collaboration with Ice Cream Beauty. Yes, this is the palette from the October Ice Cream Beauty box. I told you I was really far behind, but this is such a good palette. It went along with the theming perfectly, but it's pretty much an all pink palette. You do have this little pop of kind of a warm neutral shade over here, and you have a couple of berry tones, but I don't generally do all pink looks. I did do a couple in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but I like to use pinks as accents and kind of mix in with other shades. So this isn't the first one that I'm going to reach into if I want to do a fun, colorful look, but I do really like the quality in here. I thought the mattes performed beautifully. I didn't have any issues with patching, skipping, fallout, or anything like that. They didn't crease. The pigmentation lasted on my lids all day, and the shimmers in here are so beautiful. We do have a couple of multi-chromes and duochromes, but other than that, they're just really pretty, shimmery, metallic, sparkly shimmers on the lid, and I do really enjoy this. I would love to try more from the brand, but I'm just not into the color story as a whole. I would use it as a companion, which is why it's going where it is. Number 15 is going to the ColourPop Frosty the Snowman palette, and this is absolutely adorable. I unlocked my entire childhood with this palette. We watch Frosty every single year. But the color story in here I think goes great with the theming. I like the shade selection in here, but I wish we had more depth in this palette. And what I mean by that is we have all of these really light shades up here, and then we have two really deep shades, and we only have one mid-tone, and it's a brown, and it kind of throws me off a little bit as to what I can do with this palette. So I kind of wish that maybe we had deepened up some of these shades up here a little bit, maybe change this one. We didn't necessarily need both a black and a really deep gray. We could have gotten rid of one and just kept the other one, but other than that, I do think it's really pretty. But again, this is going to be a companion palette for me. It's one that I need to bring in other things for to kind of give me an all-in-one cohesive look. There is a pressed glitter in this palette as well. It's this one down here. It's not super gritty or flaky. It is fairly smooth for a pressed glitter. It's not my favorite formula formula in the whole world, but I do feel like the one from ColourPop is decent enough that I can use it and it's not irritating to my eyes or anything like that. And I do want to note that we have a duochrome in here, like hello ColourPop, bringing us duochromes. But yeah, adorable palette. I really like the theming. I like the color selection. I just wish there was more depth with the colors. Our number 14 palette is also going to come to us from ColourPop, and that is going to be the Stranger Things palette. I was so excited when I saw they were doing a collab with Stranger Things because I absolutely love Stranger Things. I am so excited for season 5 to come out next year, but I really like this color story. I think they did a really good job curating it. They really kind of combined Hawkins and the Upside Down and gave us one cohesive color story. It is a little bit chaotic, but you can definitely get some more neutral looks using these matte shades over here and then just throwing in a pop of color with your shimmers. We do have a couple of pressed glitters in this one as well, but just like I said with the Frosty the Snowman palette, they're not super gritty or textured or anything like that. They go on really nicely. The only problem really comes to whenever you start to take them off, because you are going to get glitter everywhere. That drives me insane. I am not a fan of glitter because you can't get rid of it. But anyways, I really do like the color story in here. I like the selection of mattes. I like the selection of shimmers in here. I absolutely love this kind of like grungy chartreusey shimmer shade right here. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I've really enjoyed playing with this palette, but it's not my favorite out of all the ones that are sitting here in front of me. I'm just more likely to reach for the other ones over this one. Number 13 is going to the Celestial Charms palette from Beauty Bay. This is the counterpart to the Mini Charms palette that we saw at the beginning of the video. They came out together as sort of a collection, and this color story is absolutely gorgeous. I love the combination of the purples, the berries, these greens, this pop of orange in here, but I wish we had more depth with this palette. It is very mid-tone to deep. In fact, it's mostly deep over everything. We do have some lighter shades in here. We have this one cream matte, but everything else, the lightness in this palette is going to come to us from the shimmers, and for me personally, I can't create an all-in-one cohesive look with this palette. I need to bring in something else to give me that lightness and those blending shades that I crave in a palette. I like a palette to go from light to dark and everything in between, because that's how I like to do my makeup. But if you like to do really deep, colorful looks, this is a beautiful palette, especially if you love the shade selection in here. The formula is fantastic. Like I said, I've really been enjoying Beauty Bay. Their mattes are really, really good. They're not the best mattes I've ever used in the entire world, but this is a really affordable brand, and I feel like they have a solid matte formula for the price point that you're going to be paying. But I do really enjoy this palette. Like I said, it's just going to be a companion palette for me. I need to bring in something else for this one. Number 12 is probably going to surprise you because it's coming to us from one of my absolute favorite brands, and that is the Vamp palette from Bella Beauty Bar, and I absolutely love their matte formula. It is hands down my favorite matte formula on the market, but this color story, I don't know, there's something about it that just isn't for me. There's nothing wrong with the quality in here. The shimmers are beautiful, the mattes are beautiful. It's just not a color story that I'm really gravitating towards as much as I wanted to. I don't know exactly what it is because I have created beautiful looks with this one and I am enjoying cool tones, but it's almost like you can do a purple look, but then you don't have anything dark enough to finish it. You can do a blue look and you don't really have anything dark enough to finish it. And that's kind of the trend that I find with this palette. Our darkest shade in here is like this sequin shade up here. And I don't know, I wanted a little bit more. I really enjoy color stories from Bella Beauty Bar, but this one just isn't my favorite for me. I'm sure that's an unpopular opinion because I know people have ranted and raved about this palette, and I was super excited about it as well, but it's just not quite doing it for me. Coming in at number 11 is the Dream of Moth Flying palette from Anthemy. Anthemy is a C Beauty brand. They are a newer C Beauty brand, and they do have a really nice formula. I don't know if they are my favorite out of all the ones that I've tried so far, but it is a really solid formula and I do really enjoy them. But this color story is absolutely beautiful. They released 4 palettes at the same time. You'll see 2 of them in just a minute, and I didn't pick up the last one, but this is the color story that I was most excited about just because it's cool toned. It's a little kind of different. It's very unique in my collection. It's definitely giving off Odin's Eye Christmas Eve vibes, but this one has a little bit more purples in it. But anyways, I was a little disappointed when I got this one in person and saw the imbalance of the matte to shimmer ratio in here, because when you get down to it, there's really only two true mattes in this palette, and that is going to be this lavender shade and this green one over here. But then you have some really pretty like sequin shades, you have some mattes with shimmer in them, you have some multi-chromes and things like that. So for me, I struggle to create a cohesive look with this palette, and it's not a favorite of mine out of all of these. Like I said, I was a little disappointed when I saw it in person. The quality in here is really nice. I don't have an issue with that, but I just wish that we had more mattes in here versus the shimmers and sequins in this palette. So that's why this one is going in where it is. And then coming in at number 10 is going to be the Gaze of Green Snake palette from Anthony. This one is so beautiful. It is a very matte heavy palette in here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matte shades in here, and then we've got 4 beautiful shimmer shades in here. This chartreuse shade right here, absolutely stunning, absolutely love it. I love the shade selection here. It is a very green and yellow heavy palette, but you do have these pops of pinks over here, but this just isn't a color story that I'm gravitating towards right now. For me, this is a color story that I'll probably really want to reach for more in the summertime. But again, the quality in here is really nice. I don't have any issues with the mattes other than the fact that they're extremely pigmented and you do get a lot of fallout with them. I have come to realize that you just expect that with most C Beauty brands. There are some that you don't get a lot of fallout with, but for the most part you're going to. And as much as I really do enjoy the formulas, I'm still not sure how I feel about that, because I'm someone who likes to do my base makeup before I do my eye makeup. And I just, you know, habits are hard to break, but this is really beautiful. I do enjoy it. I love this multi-chrome up here. It is absolutely stunning, and these are really fun to play with. I do like having them. Like I said, I just don't know if Anthony is my favorite C Beauty brand at the moment. But the last one that I have from that collection is going to be the Chapter of Deep Sea palette. This one is beautiful. It's a me color story. It's blue, it's purple, it has that green up here yet again. The multi-chromes in here are beautiful. This one right here, this sort of like blue, green, purple one. We have this really pretty, super sparkly sequin black shade up here as well, and I just really like the color selection in here. For me, this one is more balanced as far as depth and mattes go, and I just have an easier time creating cohesive looks in here. Granted, they are going to be on almost monochromatic looks unless you throw in this pop of green up here, but it's just really beautiful, and I enjoy the color story in this one. Coming in at number 8 is the Roxa palette from Natasha Denona, and when she revealed this packaging, I about lost it because I love purple eyeshadow. I love Natasha Denona, and I was really excited because she had been bringing us neutrals for such a long time, and I was really worried about the path that she was going down, but this is beautiful. This is definitely more of a half purple, half berry palette. I'm not mad about it. I would have liked to have seen more purple in this palette than what we got, but we definitely have some beautiful purple shades in here. But Natasha Denona has a solid matte formula, and I do really enjoy these in this palette. I don't know if it's the same matte formula that she's always brought us. I feel like there's something a little bit different about this formula. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but it's just, I don't know, it's different. It's just one of those things that you know it when you use it and you're used to a certain formula and something changes and you're like, wait a minute, what did you do? But not in a bad way necessarily. I wouldn't say that, but my only real qualm with this palette is I wish that we had a little bit more variety with these 3 lighter shades right here. This one up here is almost like a gray leaning shade, and I feel like it just doesn't go with the rest of the vibe in this palette. These 2 down here are really pretty. I would have liked to have seen this be a little bit more like a lavender shade versus this dusty purple shade, but overall I do think it's really pretty. I'm not a big fan of these. I think they're pretty in the palette, and I think they're fun to look at, but overall you're just going to swirl them together and make a big mess and get like a really pretty sort of lavender silvery shade. But this is really fun. I've enjoyed playing with it. Again, I like the color story, I like the formula in here, and I'm so happy that Natasha Denona is bringing us color. Let's hope that she continues on with that and she doesn't go back to neutral. Alright, so my number 7 palette is one that I did film with, and unfortunately I accidentally deleted the footage. My finger slipped and I was devastated, but I didn't have time to redo it. But I do have pictures of the look, so I will pop those up. But it's going to be the Witch of the Wildflower palette from Diva Rune Cosmetics, and this is one of 2 palettes that she released at the same time. The other one, I can't remember the name of it. It was a little bit more neutral leaning, but it was in collaboration with Basket Case Beauty, which is Monica Jones's best friend, and Monica Jones is the owner of Diva Rune Cosmetics. But anyways, this is a beautiful, beautiful palette and color story, you can see why I was drawn to it. I love the tones in here. We've got purples, we've got this really pretty kind of chartreusey lime green matte shade over here. I love the balance of the ratio of mattes to shimmers in here. We've got 6 matte shades, 3 shimmers, and they are beautiful. This is a stunning palette. I really enjoyed playing with it. I love the look that I created, and the quality in here is fantastic. This is exactly what I've come to know and love from the brand. Granted, this is only the second palette I've ever had from the brand, but it's right on par with that. I don't have any issues with the performance of the matte shades in here, and the shimmers are incredibly beautiful. They can be a little bit more on the flaky side, so if you want to make sure you get a nice smooth application, definitely go in with your finger, but I don't have any issues going in with a brush that I've sprayed over a tacky base. But this one is absolutely stunning, and I love this one. I'm so happy to have it, and the purples in here, chef's kiss, love it. Coming in at number 6 is going to be the Raven's Revenge palette from CXC Beauty, and this is absolutely stunning. Look at that color story. It's definitely on the bigger side. This is a 21 pan palette, but I feel like it's a very well curated color story. We don't really have any color overlap in here. I'm loving the mixture of the greens and like the plums and purples in here. We have some cool tone neutrals over here. We have some warm tone neutrals. This is just a really good palette. I really enjoy the CXC Beauty formula. This is the 3rd palette I've ever had from the brand, and I haven't been disappointed thus far. I will admit some of their larger palettes can be a little repetitive, but they do also have scaled down 9 pan versions of those color stories as well. But this one I just couldn't resist. I love the murkiness of this one. I love kind of the spooky vibe that it gives off, and I really enjoy the tones, and the shimmers in here are so beautiful. Like, look at this multi-chrome right here. Oh my gosh, that kind of purple to green to gold flip that it has going on, absolutely stunning. I really enjoyed this one. I like the packaging. It's plastic, but it's nice and sturdy and weighty. It doesn't feel cheap or anything like that, but I do have an issue with one of my palettes. The clasp kind of quit clasping, I guess you could say, so we'll see what happens. This one doesn't seem like it's quite as, I guess, grabby as the other ones that I have, but just a little side note that I wanted to throw in there. All right, so it's come down to the top 5 palettes, and honestly, all 5 of these truly could be number 1. I love every single one of them. It was really hard to kind of rank them against one another, but I had to put them somewhere. I always have a hard time with my top 5. I don't know what it is, and honestly, we've had a lot of really good releases this year. There have been very few duds as far as palettes go, but let's go ahead and jump into number 5. So number 5 is going to come to us from Cryptine. This is the Tulip Dream palette. It's this cute little 5-pan palette, and this is so fun, but the looks that I get with this are beautiful. I can just go an all green route. I can do the purple in the crease. I can do every single shade on my lid and call it a day. I've really enjoyed playing this with this one. Am I going to get the most looks out of this one? No, I'm not going to, but as a whole, it's a really good palette and I've enjoyed playing with it. But I love the Cryptine Cosmetics formula. They are one of my favorite C Beauty brands. They launched earlier this year and they have been killing it with the releases. In fact, I do have their newest little 6-pan all shimmer palette sitting over here. I just need to figure out what I want to do with that one as far as content goes, but this is beautiful. I love how slim and compact it is, but it still sticks along the same lines as the rest of their packaging, and all of these shades in here are magnetic as well as their other palettes, so you can pop them out, rearrange them. You can make your perfect little travel palette, and that's not something that I usually do, but I think it's a fun idea, and who knows, maybe one day I will be that person. But this one has been a lot of fun and I really enjoy it. Number 4 is going to another 5-pan palette, and that is going to be the Magical Creations palette from Ladybug Glow. This was sort of the brand's return a couple of months ago, and I really, really love this one. The quality is fantastic. Yes, you're only going to get 2 mattes in here, so you're not going to get a lot of variety as far as the looks that you're going to get in here, but these shimmers are so incredibly beautiful, and I have said several times I love a good 4-pan, 5-pan, 6-pan palette that I can just get sort of no-brainer looks out of. And that's what both of these bring me. I don't really have to think too hard if I'm kind of in a hurry and I'm just like, oh, I want something really pretty to put on my eyes. These are the kind of palettes that I reach for. So I know there's not a lot of variety with either one of these, but for my makeup preferences and my style, they fit in perfectly. And I really do enjoy these. These are absolutely beautiful. I do have a dedicated video with this one right here, but that is going to be my number 4 palette. but let's jump into number 3. So number 3 is going to come to us from Glamlight, and this is the Halloween 2 palette. I was so excited when I saw they were bringing us a Michael Myers themed palette because they didn't bring us one last year, and I was like, where's the Halloween palette? Hello, it's Halloween, spooky season. It just makes perfect sense. But it does have the lenticular motion on the front with the kind of the blood coming out of the mask. You've got the pumpkin in the background, but the color story in here, this is so beautiful. It is blue, it is neutral. You've got some pops of golds and orange in here. I've really enjoyed playing with this one. And the formula in here, this is the good Glamlight formula that I know and I love. The formula that we got in the Garfield palette, the Betty Boop palette, the Scooby-Doo palettes, things like that. They did such a really good job with this. I like the theming in here. I will say not every single reference in this one is from Halloween 2. It's honestly, some of them are from other movies, but it is what it is. This shade up here is probably one of my favorites. It's kind of like a purple to turquoise shifty shade, but I really enjoyed this one. The quality is fantastic in here. Like I said, you're not going to get a whole lot of like super shifty shades in Glamlight palettes, but you do get really punchy shimmers, and these are beautiful. I'm not disappointed with that one at all. All right, so my number 2 spot is going to go to this beast of a palette right here from Jolie Beauty. This is the Spellbound palette, and this was their spooky season launch, and this is beautiful. I love this color story. It's everything that I want in a color story. It is purple, it is blue, it is green. It goes from light to dark. I love the addition of these sort of muted pastels over here. They're not true pastels, they're not super bright, and they're not gonna overtake everything else, but they're perfect to kind of blend out these shades and give me personally a cohesive look. We do have this sort of sequin shade over here that kind of walks the fine line of being almost a matte with shimmer in it. It performs beautifully. You can really use it to deepen up your outer corners and things like that. That's how I like to use it. But the formula in here is fantastic. I really do enjoy Jolie Beauty's matte formula. It's very easy to work with. It's buildable in pigmentation. I never have any issues. We do have 2 pressed glitters in this palette. It's going to be this one and this one right here. And I will say that I feel like they have improved their glitter formula compared to ones I have used in the past. When I used them, they didn't feel heavy or gritty, and they didn't irritate my eyes. Of course, when I washed them on, I was finding glitter in my hair and all over my face for like 5 days straight, but it is what it is. I probably won't dig into them again. I also think that they have improved their shimmer formula as well. They like to bring us a lot of like satin, more just kind of plain metallic-y shades, and these are all beautiful. We've got some really pretty shifty shades in here, lots of sparkle, lots of kind of shimmer and reflection going on in here. Absolutely beautiful. I really like the curation of this palette. All right, so my number 1 palette of this ranking is definitely a top favorite of the year, and it's probably my new favorite from the brand, and that is the Harvest of Souls palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. First of all, the cover art is absolutely stunning. I feel like they really did something with this. It's definitely different from what we've seen on the front of other palettes, but so is the format. We have a 16 pan palette, and they haven't done one of these before, but this color story is incredibly beautiful. It is unique, it is colorful, it is muted, it is bright. It is just everything that I am really enjoying and reaching for. It goes from really, really light to really, really dark. I love these 2 pops of green right here. They are absolutely stunning, and I like to break this palette up into quads. So you have this one up here, this green one, this teal one, but then this, the kind of murky one with this pop of this berry right here, is absolutely stunning. I created a look with those 4 shades, and I was blown away with how beautiful it was. But I really, really love this palette. The formula in here is incredible. Fantasy Cosmetica has a beautiful formula. They are one of my favorite brands. They're not a top favorite, but they're one that I definitely keep my eye on and get excited when they release something new. But I just really enjoy the mattes in here, and the shimmers are absolutely stunning. We've got some different textures going on in this one, as we usually do with Fantasy Cosmetica palettes. Some of these are very smooth, some of them are a little bit more subdued, and then we have some that are going to be a little bit more flaky, but they don't emphasize texture on my lid or anything like that. I don't ever get creasing with any of their shades. The pigmentation lasts all day, and I just think this is a very beautiful color story. I really enjoyed it. I think they did a really good job curating this one, and this one makes me excited about creating looks. This is one that I want to reach into, I want to play with, and I want to get more use out of, and I'm just really excited about this one. But that is going to complete this ranking. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know how you would have ranked these a little bit differently, if you picked up any of these. If you did, which ones did you pick up and which one is your number one? I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.